everyone, it's Brooke here from Anita Goodesign. I hope you are ready for a super spooky project, as today we will be creating a mummy pillow. Now, what makes this pillow much more special than most? We are taking our trick or treat bags and we're taking that mummy design and using that for the face of our pillow. So a lot of the times we have these wonderful collections, this one in particular, which is a project. Normally when you are creating this design, you would be creating a trick-or-treat bag. However, we're going to skip a few steps, teach you along the way as other ways to utilize those wonderful motifs inside that collection to make something more fun and exciting. So let's go ahead and get started. To begin, you're going to want to start by hooping a piece of tearaway stabilizer. We need to find the center point for our face on the pillow. So I'm going to go ahead and using a ruler and tailor's chalk, we're going to go ahead and find that access points. So we're going to start at the points on our hoop, use your ruler, line them up, and then take your tailor's chalk, and then we're going to draw all the way down to create a straight line. To make the other portion, you're going to want to use the notches on the sides of your hoop, line up your ruler, and go ahead and draw that line. This helps us create a center point for our pillow. Now, before we lay the front of our pillow on our hoop, let's talk about fabrics. So in the beginning, I'm going to be using a cotton material. I'm recommending a white or a beige. I have a printed decorative cotton here, but it doesn't matter what material you're using, as our fun textiles are going to cover it for a mummy-like effect. Now, in order to create that, you're going to want a fabric that has some texture to it. I have a gauze muslin-like fabric here that's white. If you would prefer your mummy to be beige or any other color, the choice is yours. But today we are going to be using strips of our textured fabric. And for the skin of the mummy, we are going to be using this fun velvety purple. So it's really going to make that face pop, really highlight that embroidery, and let's go ahead and have some fun with it. So now that we have our fabric all selected, it's time to find that center point for our design. So basically all I'm going to do is take that fabric. You're going to want to cut it to measure your pillow. We're going to fold it right sides together. Give it a nice finger press. And then we're going to fold it again. This will help us create the pillow into fourths. Now, it's also going to help us align against our access points. So I have here some temporary adhesive 505 spray. I'm going to go ahead and spray that on my hoop. This just ensures my fabric stays in place. Now, using that fold we just created, you're going to line up your corner. And then you're going to go ahead and bring that fabric down so it aligns nice and straight. Once you have this position, press down all nice and firm, you can go ahead and open up your panel to create the front part of your project. And now, when you go ahead and load your design and your hoop into the machine, you will have a nice center point for your embroidery. As you can see, I have my steps right here. And basically, all we're going to do is skip the first step, and we're going to start with step number 2, which is the placement stitch for the skin applique. And now it's time to lay our applique fabric on top of our design. Now there's a couple ways you can do this. If you would prefer to just lay your applique fabric on there and tape it down in place, you can do that as well. However, since I'm using this beautiful velvet fabric, I'm going to go ahead and use that temporary spray adhesive, spray inside the placement stitch, and lay my fabric down nice and flat. Now, if you choose to use a fabric just like this, you're going to use a topper on top of it. Now, this topper is great for when you are using fabrics that have a little fluff. So it's important that we have our topper in place. So I'll go ahead and tape that. And we're going to use this topper as we embroider the rest of our design. Now go ahead and run your next step, which will be the tacking stitch for your skin applique. So now that we have finished running the tacking stitch for the skin applique, we're going to go ahead and skip a couple steps. So we just finished step 3, and now we're going to skip to step 6, where we will run the placement stitch for our eyes. And now you can lay your eye fabric over top of the placement stitch. Be sure to cover it completely. And since our fabric is laying on topper, I'm going to go ahead and tape that in place to secure it. And now you can run your next machine step, which will be the tacking stitch for your eye applique. And now we can go ahead and remove the tape for our eye applique. And we'll go ahead and using a pair of sharp curved tip applique scissors, we'll go ahead and trim the eye applique. You're going to want to clip the excess material close to the tacking stitch line. And now we will run the embroidery for our eyes. We will be running steps 8 through 12. And now it's time for the fun part. So we're going to go ahead and grab that textured fabric that we talked about previously. We are going to cut it in strips. Now your strips can be as long as you want. They can be as wide as you want. However, to make it a little bit easier and to make sure my fabric is nice and secure in place, I have made mine long enough to stop at the sides of my fabric. So all you need to do is lay your strips, not in any order. You can do a couple this way, you can change the style and direction by going this way, and all you want to do is make your mummy look all nice and cool, and you're ready for the next step. And look how cute this is. Now it's important to note that when you're laying down your textured fabric, have some fun with it, play around with direction, and don't worry about cutting the edges nice and straight, as it makes it extra spooky and mummy-like when it's all messed up. Now before we place our back panels onto our pillow, you're going to want to secure your gauze in place, so head on over to your sewing machine and you're going to want to stitch using a close seam allowance of 1/4 of an inch to the front side of your pillow. Look how fun and spooky this mummy pillow is. Now this is such a fun project and a creative way to show how you can really emphasize and take other collections and build them into your own creations. I really hope this tutorial helps inspire you with your next Halloween project. Happy sewing!